Good morning, Miss Inge and classmates. My name is Karen McAllister. I'm in my junior year at Fort Valley State University, majoring in psychology. Most of us have heard the old saying that there is safety in numbers, but both real-life events and psychological laboratory studies have proven this old adage to be less than trustworthy. Today I will tell you about a concept in the field of psychology known as the bystander effect. Perhaps you've watched the news reports that have caused you to question, where have all the Good Samaritans gone? Possibly you've appreciated the total stranger who has stepped in to save a life and wondered if you would be able to react in the same way. The bystander effect may explain, at least in part, why some people are heroes and others are simply present in an emergency. I will begin by defining the bystander effect, and then relate to you the sad story of Kitty Genovese that prompted two young social psychologists to study this phenomena. I'll tell you what has been learned about the bystander effect, and finally, why I think understanding the bystander effect is important to all of us. The bystander effect describes the tendency of a person to withhold aid to an individual in need during an emergency situation, particularly when others are present. The study of the bystander effect was prompted by the case of Kitty Genovese. Miss Genovese was an attractive 28-year-old who managed a bar in Queens, New York. On the night of March 13, 1964, as she was arriving home from work, a man chased her down, stabbed her in the back just as she was arriving at her apartment building. Kitty screamed for help. It is estimated that her ordeal was either seen or heard by nearly 40 people in or around her building. A neighbor shouted out the window for the man to leave her alone. The attacker ran away. Kitty made it just inside the door of the building when the attacker returned to rape and then murder her. This attack lasted over 30 minutes. No one came to her aid. No one even called the police until it was too late. One person making one phone call could have saved one life, the life of Kitty Genovese. Why did no one help? For social psychologists John Darley and Biv Latané, this question needed to be answered. Darley and Latané designed the bystander apathy experiment to determine if a test subject will come to the aid of a fellow participant in need of medical care. Students from New York University were recruited to participate in a discussion about personal issues that affected their lives as college students. Each subject was placed alone in a room equipped with a microphone and speakers. Subjects were informed that they would be involved in a discussion group with a varying number of participants, ranging from 2 to 6. Each subject was allowed 2 minutes to speak. During this time, all other microphones in the group were turned off. The subjects were unaware that the other participants in the group were actually pre-recorded voices prepared for the experiment. One pre-recorded participant was a student who shared that he suffered from epileptic seizures. During his second turn to speak, the participant indicated that he was experiencing the symptoms of a seizure. The results of the testing showed that 85% of the participants who were part of the one-on-one groups, meaning that they believed no one else knew that the group member was experiencing a seizure, responded by notifying a testing official that the person needed medical assistance. When subjects believed that they were part of a group of 3 to 6 participants, only 30% of students sought help for the distressed group member. Darley and Latané shattered the idea of safety in numbers with this experiment by showing that if a subject is the only one available to offer assistance in an emergency situation, it is likely that they will lend aid. However, if several people are available to offer assistance, it is less likely that any aid will be offered at all. Darley and Latané attributed this reluctance to lend aid to diffusion of responsibility, meaning that as a lone individual, a person is more likely to assume complete responsibility. If there are other people present, the responsibility is diffused throughout the group. Therefore, the weight of the responsibility is shared, and it is likely that no one will feel the need to take action. To better define the factors that prevent people from lending aid in a life-threatening situation, Darley and Latané conducted further studies, including the Group Inhibition of Bystander Intervention in Emergencies study, a study entitled A Lady in Distress, Inhibiting Effects of Friends and Strangers on Bystander Intervention, and finally the Good Samaritan experiment. Darley and Latané determined that in order to take action in a potential emergency situation, a subject must 1. Notice the event, 2. Perceive that the event is an emergency, 3. Decide whether or not it is his responsibility to take action, 4. Be unaffected by the opinions of others, and finally 5. Feel qualified to lend help. As I conclude, you may be asking, what difference does any of this make to us? Well, history is filled with the horrible results of the bystander effect. Examples are genocides, lynchings, schoolyard bullying, crowds of shoppers stepping over and trampling fallen individuals in a mad rush for a bargain, victims of all ages, sexes, and races, whose pleas for help go ignored. So what difference does it make? I think by understanding the bystander effect, we can overcome the tendency within ourselves to do nothing. Crimes can be stopped, lives can be saved, if each person assumes that they are not only the most qualified person available to give help, but the only person available to give help. And if we put aside our fear of being judged by others and act on our own convictions. In closing, I ask you to remember this. You can be the one person who makes the one phone call that saves the one life. Thank you.